and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, for you are our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Birth is full of hope and expectation, but also fear and uncertainty and struggle. It is a time when life and death touch, if only for an instant. This is even more true for one such as Mary, who lived in a time and a place where many women did not survive childbirth. Mary and Joseph, after days of walking and riding through rain and dirt and heat to satisfy the decree of a distant king, found themselves far from home when the labor pangs arrived. Road-worn and tired already, and now with Mary doubled over in contractions, they were in no state to search for a room, and the city was full of other people, similarly shunted and displaced and exhausted. And so they found themselves in a manger made for sheltering animals. And it was there that Mary labored. Mary, with her feet swollen and clothes dirty, cried and rocked on a dirt floor, surrounded by common livestock. This was far before the advent of modern medicine, and Mary was far from home, from her mother, from the inherited wisdom that might have helped. Instead, she wrestled herself through the pain and the darkness, the fear, struggling to bring life into this world. She breathed and pushed and prayed, not knowing whether she would survive the night, not knowing whether she would get through the next advent of pain. There she was, a girl laboring with God. Before Jesus' body was broken at Calvary, Mary's body was broken open in Bethlehem. Before Christ's blood was poured out, hers covered the straw of the manger. Before he was rejected by power and empire, his mother was pushed from home, cast out of even the humblest inn or boarding house. And before he delivered us from death, Mary delivered him into this world. Mary's story is our story, too. Her struggle is our own. For who? Who has not wrestled in and against the darkness? Who among us has not cried on the dirt floor of our own hearts, waiting and hoping and praying for God? And so it is that on Christmas, we gather together to remember that into this uncertainty and struggle and pain, Christ was born to one crying out for him and to us all. That in the darkness and the uncertainty of that humble manger, God arrived, and his mother clutched him to her. And the terrors of the night were gone. Her cries were replaced by his mourning wail, and it breaking through the night air was the first testimony, his delivery the first sign of the good news that life triumphs over death and light conquers the darkness, that in a dark night and into pain, God comes. God does arrive. That the God that we yearn for, that we cry out for, does come into the world. And with his coming, all terror, darkness, oppression, and pain are conquered. Mary and Joseph, who were alone just moments before, suddenly find themselves surrounded by community, shepherds and visitors bearing gifts. They smooth Mary's brow and look at the infant in her arms, and for a second, the line between heaven and earth grows thin, and angels gather round. This is the kingdom announced for us at Christmas. This is the promise over which we gather to rejoice. The kingdom where pain turns to gladness and loneliness becomes community, and darkness is replaced with light. And this kingdom that advents at Christmas is announced to us not with the blast of trumpets, but by the humble cries of a newborn babe. This is good news of great joy for all people. It is good news indeed. Let us live this promise once again on this Christmas Eve. Praise be to God, and amen.